In a divided nation, where political debates often seem endless and compromise feels out of reach, moments of true agreement are rare. The United States is a country built on spirited debate, but also on the hope that, at crucial moments, unity can prevail. That's why when all 9 Supreme Court justices agree on a major issue, it's not just unusual, it's deeply significant. Such consensus is a powerful signal to the nation, showing that even the highest court can rise above partisanship when the stakes are high. In recent years, the court has handed down a series of unanimous 9-0 decisions. These rulings have surprised many, cutting across ideological lines and challenging the expectation that the court is always divided along political fault lines. When the justices speak with one voice, their decisions send a clear message. Some legal questions are so fundamental, so essential to our system, that they transcend politics and personal beliefs. The Supreme Court's role is to interpret the Constitution, to clarify the meaning of our nation's founding document, and to ensure that government power remains within its proper limits. This responsibility is at the heart of American democracy. Unanimous decisions carry special weight. They provide stability and clarity in the law, reassuring the public that the rules governing our society are not subject to the whims of shifting political winds. These moments of agreement show that, despite their different backgrounds and judicial philosophies, the justices can find common ground on issues that matter to every American. It's a reminder that the rule of law can unite us, even when we disagree. In this series, we'll explore several recent landmark unanimous decisions, covering topics like free speech, executive power, religious freedom, and civil rights. Each case reveals how the court's unity can shape the nation's future. By understanding what brought the justices together, we gain insight into how these rulings affect the balance of government power, protect individual rights, and reinforce the principles that define American democracy. These decisions form the bedrock of our legal system, shaping the foundation of American democracy for generations to come. The impact of these rulings is not just theoretical. They touch the lives of millions of Americans, influencing our rights, freedoms, and the way we live every day. One major unanimous ruling from the Supreme Court this term involved the National Rifle Association, not in a case about gun rights, but about the fundamental freedom of speech. The case, National Rifle Association versus Vullo, raised a crucial question. Can government officials use their authority to pressure private companies into cutting ties with organizations whose views they dislike? In this case, the court found that a New York State official had crossed the line. She used her regulatory power to urge banks and insurance companies to sever business relationships with the NRA, not because of any illegal activity, but because she disagreed with their advocacy. This was a deliberate attempt to chill the NRA's speech by threatening their financial partners. The justices were clear and united in their decision. Government cannot use threats, intimidation, or coercion to punish or suppress groups simply for expressing their views, no matter how controversial or unpopular those views may be. Writing for the court, Justice Sonia Sotomayor explained that when officials use their influence to intimidate or pressure private actors into silencing speech, they cross a constitutional line. The First Amendment stands as a barrier against such government overreach. This ruling is not just about the NRA, it protects all advocacy groups, whether they are on the left, right, or center of the political spectrum, from being targeted by officials who dislike their message. The decision reinforces that free speech protections apply equally to everyone, regardless of their cause. The court made it clear, the government cannot do indirectly, through pressure or threats, what it is forbidden to do directly under the Constitution. This principle is vital to keeping the government in check and ensuring a vibrant democracy. The decision stands as a powerful warning. Free expression is protected from government intimidation, regardless of how controversial, unpopular, or divisive the speech may be. The right to speak out, protest, and advocate is a cornerstone of American democracy. Thanks to the Vullo precedent, journalists, activists, and everyday citizens are now shielded from similar threats. This ruling ensures that government officials cannot use their positions to silence voices they oppose. The court's unanimous voice sends a strong message. The First Amendment protects even unpopular or controversial speech, and government power cannot be wielded to silence dissent. This decision reaffirms the enduring strength of free speech in America. The Supreme Court also united to check presidential power in a case over tariffs. President Trump used emergency powers to impose tariffs, bypassing Congress's authority to regulate commerce and taxes. The court unanimously ruled that the president cannot use emergency statutes to unilaterally tax imports. Tariffs are taxes, and only Congress holds the power of the purse. This wasn't about the wisdom of tariffs, but about constitutional limits. The decision reinforces that major economic policies must go through Congress, not be imposed by executive decree. It protects Americans from unchecked executive action and ensures accountability through public debate. The ruling echoes the Steele seizure case, reaffirming that presidential power is limited without congressional support. The message: the court will enforce constitutional boundaries, even in times of crisis. The court faced a novel question. Can a foreign government sue American gun makers in U.S. courts for violence abroad? In Smith & Wesson Brands v. Mexico, the justices unanimously said no. The court upheld the Protection of Lawful Commerce in Arms Act, which shields U.S. gun manufacturers from lawsuits over crimes committed with their products, even by foreign governments. This decision affirms that companies aren't liable for the criminal misuse of their products by distant third parties. Allowing such lawsuits could open the door to endless litigation against many industries. The ruling provides certainty for American businesses and upholds Congress's authority to set liability rules. The unanimous decision signals U.S. courts won't be used to bypass laws protecting domestic industries. The Supreme Court unanimously defended religious freedom in Catholic Charities Bureau v. Wisconsin. The state tried to deny a religious charity exemptions because it served people of all faiths, not just its own. The court ruled that government cannot judge the sincerity or scope of a group's religious mission. Serving others, regardless of faith, is a core tenet of many religions, and the government can impose its own definition of religious work. This protects faith-based organizations from being penalized for inclusive service. The decision strengthens the wall between church and state, letting religious groups define their own missions. The message: religious freedom includes the right to serve all, without government interference. In a time when the nation often feels divided, the Supreme Court found rare and powerful unity on a fundamental issue: civil rights. In the landmark case of Ames v. Ohio Department of Youth Services, the justices came together to address a question that strikes at the heart of equality in America. The case centered on a white employee who claimed he was the victim of racial discrimination at work. Lower courts had applied a stricter legal standard to his claim than they would have for a minority plaintiff, raising concerns about fairness and consistency in how discrimination cases are judged. In a unanimous decision, the Supreme Court declared that the legal standard for proving discrimination must be the same for everyone, regardless of their race or background. No one should face a higher barrier to justice simply because of their identity. Writing for the court, Justice Jackson emphasized that civil rights laws are designed to provide equal remedies for all people. She wrote that the law must be colorblind in its application, ensuring that every individual receives the same protection and opportunity to seek justice. This decision dismantles what had become a two-tiered system, where the rules could shift depending on who brought the claim. Now, the court has made it clear: fairness in discrimination claims is not negotiable, and the same rules must apply to all. The ruling brings much-needed clarity to civil rights law and reinforces a core American principle. Protection from discrimination is a universal right, not a privilege reserved for some. It affirms that the promise of equal treatment under the law extends to everyone. The justices' agreement in this case sends a strong signal of their shared commitment to equal justice. Their unity demonstrates that, even in contentious times, the highest court can stand together for fairness. The message from the court is clear and resounding. Justice must be administered without regard to race or background, upholding the ideals of equality and fairness for all Americans. These unanimous decisions reveal a clear theme: restoring constitutional balance and checking government overreach. The court, across ideological lines, is pushing back against officials who exceed their authority, whether state regulators, presidents, or lower courts. This reflects a growing skepticism of unchecked government power and a move away from deference to agencies and executive actions. The VULO and tariff cases are prime examples, reining in both regulatory intimidation and executive overreach. The court's recent end to Chevron deference further shifts power back to judges, not agencies. These rulings are not minor tweaks, they're significant moves to reassert constitutional limits and protect individual liberty. The justices are united in enforcing the rule book that governs our nation. The message: the Constitution's checks and balances are not optional, they are essential. In a time of division, the Supreme Court's 9-0 decisions offer a powerful message of unity. When justices from across the political spectrum agree, it shows the rule of law can transcend partisanship. These rulings build public trust in the judiciary and reinforce its legitimacy as an impartial arbiter. Protecting free speech, limiting executive power, and ensuring equal civil rights are victories for all Americans. The decisions erect clear guardrails against government overreach and protect individual rights. They reaffirm that equal justice under law is a practical standard, not just an ideal. In turbulent times, these moments of consensus provide stability and remind us of our system's resilience. The unanimous court assures the nation, the law remains a steadfast guardian of our rights and democracy.